This is Michael Woodward, and this is episode 75 of the Jumblethink podcast.
T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to the Jumblethink podcast, a podcast focused on telling the stories of dreamers, makers, innovators, and influencers. Along the way, we give you some tips and ideas of how you can chase your own big idea and dream and create the world you want to live in. Happy Columbus Day. We're changing things up today as we do every time a holiday falls on one of our episodes. Today, we're not having a guest, but I'm going to share some insights and thoughts around Columbus Day and also some other special stuff. So it's going to be a really fun episode. On Thursday's episode, we have a very special guest. Her name is Hannah Payne. She is the founder and designer behind Luba. She creates amazing fashion for women, and she's also started a foundation called the Love Foundation. In the episode, we talk about the world of fashion, but beyond that, we also talk about a very special announcement that Hannah has about the Love Foundation and how they're supporting women's shelters. Make sure to check out that episode this Thursday. I want to take a moment and talk to you, the listener, about something that's so significant. Do you know that big idea, that dream that you have on the shelf just waiting for you for that one day, maybe when you retire or when you have enough money or whatever your quantifier is for that? We want to help you because we believe you were created for something awesome. And for you to really walk in that, you've got to take and go after that dream that you've put on the shelf, that you've put away for one day. One day starts today. All you have to do is drop us an email, mike@jumblethink.com, and I want to help you on your journey to start that process, to begin to pursue that dream, to take it off the shelf, to dust it off, and really move forward into a destiny that you can create, that you can use to change the world around you and fulfill the deepest desires of your heart. So make sure you drop us an email, mike@jumblethink.com. That comes directly to me, and I want to start that journey with you. I want to help you reach that dream. Now, let's jump into today's episode. Hey there, thanks so much for tuning into this very special Columbus Day episode. Every time a holiday falls on an episode day, on a Monday or a Thursday, we do a special episode. That way our guests are featured on a regular day, and it also gives us the ability to share some thoughts from our end, to share some ideas that we're thinking about, that I'm thinking about, and ultimately a little bit more about Jumblethink. Of course, you know Jumblethink as this podcast, and we've got exciting things coming up in 2018 with reformatting the podcast to even go deeper with our amazing guests. Beyond the podcast, we want to do some exciting things. And that's why I'm excited to announce that we're working on our first ever virtual idea camp. Idea camps are all about helping people who are stuck. Maybe they put that big idea or dream on the bookshelf and said, one day, maybe when I'm retired or when I have enough money or when the kids are grown, I'll reach that big idea. I'll go after that dream that I have. Well, we believe that you were created for purpose and destiny, and it's never a good idea to put that on hold. It's always important that you chase that big idea and dream. Whether it's a small step or whether it's a massive step moving that dream forward, you need to move it forward because you were created to do something different, something unique, something special to change this world. If you want to know more about the virtual idea camp, or if you want to stay in the loop when that comes live, swing on over to jumblethink.com, go to the Contact Us page, and drop us a note to let us know that you want to know more about virtual idea camps. I wanted to take a moment today and share a little bit about Columbus Day. Columbus Day has become this massively controversial holiday that we celebrate. Columbus himself has been a hero in some circles, and recently he's become a villain to many. Now, I'm not going to get into the details of whether Columbus was a good guy or a bad guy or somewhere in the middle, but there are some things that we can learn from Columbus. One, he may have not been the guy that found America, that found the New World. But you know what? He was one of the first people to be adventurous enough to take the risk, to go into the unknown and discover the possibilities. As a dreamer, as a person with big ideas, we can learn a lot from that. Being fearless in the face of the unknown is such a significant lesson we can learn. Being fearless, overcoming our obstacles is not easy to do. And for Columbus, it wasn't just his fear, but also the finances of funding his voyage. It was also staffing it, making sure that he had the right people on the team to make that possible. And what we can learn is that when we take risks, when we go into the unknown, it doesn't mean we don't have fear. It means that we overcome the fear, that we step forward, that we keep on going. In the face of adversity, in the face of the unknown, we choose to step one step closer each day. In his voyage, he hit all kinds of different turbulent times, whether maybe it was a storm or whether it was sickness. All of these things hindered him from getting to that dream, reaching the full potential. And when we're chasing our own big ideas and dream, we're going to have unknown obstacles. Maybe we've started that voyage. We've started that trip into the unknown, creating the world we want to live in. And we're going to come across obstacles. Sometimes they could be health. Sometimes it could be financial. Sometimes it could be failure. I remember one story of hearing a guy who was launching a product, and it took him 3 times of launching that product before it stuck. So sometimes it's failure. Any way you look at it, when you start that journey, you are going to hit those roadblocks that you have to overcome, not just in starting, but in the process. And perseverance is a powerful tool for reaching to the full potential of what your dream can be. Now I'm going to pivot a little bit, and today is, of course, Columbus Day, so we should talk about Columbus a little bit. Columbus, in the recent history, has become such a controversial face. You know, when I was growing up in the 80s and 90s, it wasn't nearly as controversial. There were bad things about Columbus, but he was known as an adventurer, an explorer, and somebody who took risks and went into the unknown. Now, that may or may not be true. He might be a villain. He might be a hero. That's not a discussion we're going to solve today, and honestly, it's just not something I know enough about. But what I do know is that Columbus was a man of adventure, a man who faced fear, and a man who went after the unknown. So today, instead of talking about Columbus specifically, I'm going to talk about the broader sense of being an adventurer, and specifically going on pilgrimages. Pilgrimages are typically trips that are taken or adventures taken for spiritual or personal discovery. And it is a lost art that's being rediscovered. It's huge in Catholicism. It's huge in the Muslim world. It's huge in different places. But I think anyone who is in a place of uncertainty or the unknown can learn from taking pilgrimages. Several years ago, I took a trip to China by myself to go and reflect and learn and serve. It was such a powerful time in my life, and I look back at it now and see how it was a tipping point from moving from one season of life into a new season. And I might get into that a little bit more as we go into these 10 tips for being a person on a journey of discovery. Tip number 1 is to be open. When you're going on these trips, when you're going on these adventures, when you're on a journey of discovery, you're going to be going into unknown places, maybe unknown cultures, unknown locations, unknown people, and you need to be open to the experience. You need to be able to see what's going on around you, but to experience in fullness what's happening. When I went to China, and when I've gone on other trips for the same purpose, I didn't know what to expect. But what I did expect was that the unexpected would happen. And through that, there was all kinds of incredible experiences I had. One of those experiences was going into a specific portion of Hong Kong that is home to refugees. It was actually in a building that was condemned, a high-rise building at that, which is kind of weird to think of. But I went in and met with these people who have left their homeland because of persecution. Maybe they were being killed. Maybe they were being judged unfairly. And maybe it was just an unsafe place. And when I discovered these people and I was open to it, I found that their stories were amazing. And by being open to this experience, to go help and serve a people that I had never experienced, I learned so much more about refugees and about the obstacles, the things that they experience, and how the experiences they're going through, the trials that they go through are so much deeper than the ones that I experienced. I saw in them joy in the face of the unknown. In them, I found this place of excitement for the life that they could have because of the life that they left. So tip number 1, in your journey of discovery, in your journey of this travel, this trip, be open to the unknown. The second tip is to be brave. I think back to my first trip overseas, which I went to Thailand with some friends, and we experienced all kinds of different things. I had to be brave in those experiences, or I would have used fear to just avoid them. Things like going out to eat became an adventure because when you think of Thai food, it's not exactly what you experience in Thailand. I ate fish eyes, I ate crickets, I ate all these different things. And in that discovery, I had to be adventurous. I had to be brave to push past my fears. And part of going on these trips of discovery, these pilgrimages, is this ability to be brave in the unknown, push beyond your boundaries. And when you do that, these experiences inform you as a dreamer, as a person that you can go past your known boundaries and experience amazing things. I also experienced people that I would have never experienced in those travels. And by being brave, I was able to hear their stories. I was able to interface with people that weren't like me and get to know things that I had never experienced through these people's stories. Which leads me to number 3, interact. When you go on these voyages, when you go on these pilgrimages, you need to interact with people. Whether it's a group that you've gone with, or maybe it's specific people that you're staying with, or just the community that you're in, maybe in a small village or city in that community. You need to interact. Now, you don't have to go overseas to interact with people that you're not like. You know, for someone in the Midwest, they could go to LA and experience Hollywood and people who are on a completely different spectrum of thinking than them. For people that are on the coast from New York or LA, they can go to places like the Deep South and learn about those people's heritages, about their beliefs, and why we need to be open to each other. In these conversations, in these trips where you encounter people unlike you all of a sudden have new opportunities, new experiences that you can have. When you interact with others, it opens your eyes to the unknown. And as a person that's a dreamer or with big ideas, opening your eyes to the unknown is a significant key to making your dreams a reality. You can't just swim in the same circles. What I mean by that is you can't just hang out with the same people, because those people are going to think like you, they're going to eat like you, they're going to talk like you, they're going to watch the things you watch. When you need to push the boundaries into a big idea and dream, you need to interact on a larger scale. Go meet people that aren't like you, that don't think like you, that don't eat like you, that don't talk like you, that don't watch the things you watch. When you interact, it broadens your ideas. It really goes back to item number 1. Be open in those encounters. When you interact, you have to be open. When you interact, it changes your life. When you interact, you experience the heart of somebody else, and it changes your perspective because you see with eyes of encounter. You see with eyes of experience. So tip number 3 is interact. Number 4 is go somewhere new. I think of some of my favorite places to go, like New York City or Disneyland or San Francisco. And these are places that became familiar because I've been there so many times. When you go on a pilgrimage, when you go on a journey, a voyage of discovery, you can't always go back to the same place. I think of one guy, his name's Pete Greig, and he wrote several books. And he had this moment of revelation on a pilgrimage that he took in Europe. And he went back to that place to have a new discovery, a new revelation. And you can't always go back to that place of discovery for a new discovery. Sometimes you have to adventure to new places, new people, new atmospheres, to experience and open your eyes to new things. When you're a dreamer, it's easy to get into the rut of the known, your town, the places that you've gone before, the places that you love, and expect for deep revelation and breakthroughs to happen. When you are a person of pilgrimage or a person of discovery, new places, new discoveries are significant for dreaming at a larger scale. You can't go back to the same to get something new. You've heard it. Insanity is doing the same things, expecting different results. And part of being a pilgrimage person, a person of discovery, is doing things that are different, going to new places. Tip number 5 of why you need to do voyages and pilgrimages are it brings renewal, refreshing, and energizing. When you're living in the everyday norms, it's easy to get into routine. It's easy to get into the same old, same old. But when you break that mold, you're able to renew yourself. You're able to get a freshness. You're able to get a new energy and passion and perspective and push into new things. So significant as part of your journey of discovery, to renew yourself, refresh yourself, and energize yourself. And that's part of why you take these journeys. There's something energizing, exciting about discovering new places and new people and new things. Number 6, it clears your mind from the outside routine. I kind of started to hit on it on number 5, but routine locks you into the same. When you break that routine, when you remove yourself from the normal, all of a sudden you're able to experience the unexpected. Unexpected only comes when you're outside of routine, when you're outside of the normal patterns. And so when you go on these voyages, when you go on these pilgrimages, you can break the routine and you can push past the boundaries. And this opens up new doors of discovery. Number 7, pilgrimages start at a spiritual level. Now, for some people, they may not understand this or even desire this, but there's something exciting from the spiritual level that brings renewal through pilgrimage. And you look at whether it's Christians or Muslims or other religions, they use pilgrimages as an encounter place of God through places, people, and situations. There's a scripture in the Psalms that says, I would have despaired unless I believed I would see the goodness of God in the lands of the living. To experience God, we have to experience each other. And this is a foundation of Christianity, which is my belief system. So often, encounter with God comes through encounter with people, places, and situations. And this discovery, this spiritual awakening, opens up possibilities because when you live in a place of faith, when you live in a place of dependency on the unknown, amazing situations can happen. So there's something spiritual, a rebirth that happens on these pilgrimages, which leads me to item number 8. Pilgrimages and voyages of discovery lead to faith. Faith is such an important part of being a dreamer, a person with big ideas. You have to have faith in the abilities of your dream and the abilities of your team and something even bigger in destiny to really be a full dreamer. And faith is an important part of that process. Now, when you go on pilgrimages, when you go on voyages, and it's unknown, you have to take lots of steps of faith. These faith open up possibilities that are unexperienced until you go. And in this, that faith is unlocked. When it's unlocked, it opens other doors to possibilities to your big ideas and dreams. Another reason you go on pilgrimages and voyages of discovery is to change your life. So often we don't change. We struggle with the same issues. We encounter the same fears. Whatever the situation is for you, we don't change. And being on a journey, being on a place of discovery, being on a pilgrimage causes you to rethink everything, causes you to open yourself to new possibilities. Ultimately, that will change your life through the people you encounter, through the situations you encounter, through the possibilities that you never knew were possible. All of these things begin to change your life. And as you go on these pilgrimages, it opens up amazing new things. Ultimately, number 10, one of the reasons you go on pilgrimages, and it's so significant because it trickles down to other aspects of your life. You go to serve. I've gone on so many missions trips, and they became pilgrimages where you give a lot, but in return, you gain a lot. You gain wisdom, you gain insights, you gain experiences, you gain compassion and love. When you go on pilgrimages, when you go on these journeys of discovery and you serve, when you love others and say, I'm giving of myself in this season, it unlocks something new. So just kind of to circle back and recap, the reasons pilgrimages are so significant are 1, you have to be open, and that openness opens new doors. 2, you have to be brave. It pushes you into new experiences. 3, you have to interact. 4, go somewhere new. 5, it renews, refreshes, and energizes you. 6, it clears your mind. It removes the normal routine and gives you something fresh. Number 7, it's something spiritual. You encounter God through places, people, and situations. Number 8, you learn faith. Number 9, it changes your life. And number 10, you serve. Pilgrimages are a great tool, a great way to go deeper into becoming a dreamer, of having those big ideas and really exploring the possibilities that this world has. When you go on pilgrimages, when you go on these journeys, they open up new avenues for you. So I'd really encourage you, if you have a big idea and dream, you don't know where to start, maybe get away for a little bit. Maybe go on a special trip, a trip of a pilgrimage for the purpose of discovery, for the purpose of pushing you into faith, for the purpose of refreshing you. It will change your life. It will be an amazing tool for the future, for that next season that you're going into. So today, as we reflect on Columbus, as the adventurer, as the person that's gone into the unknown, maybe it's time for you to go into the unknown. Maybe it's time for you to have a moment of discovery through pilgrimage. I hope this helps you on your journey. So as we move past Columbus now, one of the other things I wanted to do today on this episode, which is a little different, is often I ask my guests rapid fire questions. And I've been asked several times from different people, what about you? You never ask yourself these questions. And in some episodes, I share a little bit of an insight because a guest has asked me. But today, I'm going to answer my own rapid fire questions. So the first question I always ask is, what is one tip you would give someone with a big idea or dream and they simply don't know where to start? Well, I think this episode was all about pilgrimages. So my tip for today is go on a journey, whether it's far or near, but go to somewhere unexpected so that you can experience the unexpected and go deeper into that dream, go deeper into a new season of your life. The next question I often ask is, what's one change you'd like to see in the world? I love this question because it's a difficult question. There are so many different things going on. But I would say, like so many of my other guests, I wish that there was more compassion and understanding, that we would see the world through other people's eyes and give much more grace and love. There's so much divisiveness going on. And if we could just be kind, if we could just have empathy, if we could just push into the experience of others so that we could love well, I think it would change our world. Not only do I think it would change our world, I know it changes our world. Next question I often ask is, what do you want your legacy to be? For me, I think of legacy at so many different levels. There's the personal legacy. There's the family legacy. There's the business legacy. But ultimately, I think the legacy I want to leave behind is that he loved well. I loved my family well. I loved my friends well. I loved my clients well. Matter of fact, one of the things I often think to myself when I'm working with clients is, if I don't love this person, I can't work with this person. If I don't have compassion for this person, I can't perform to the best of my ability in the project. And so loving others is the legacy I want to be known by, that I loved well and that people knew that. The next question I ask is, who or what inspires you? Well, there's lots of people that inspire me. My wife inspires me a lot. My family inspires me. My parents inspire me. I learned service from my parents and giving to others. It was such an important lesson. From my wife, she's such an amazing mother and friend. She does so well with giving to others, and I've learned that from her. In the business world, I look to people like Richard Branson or Erwin McManus. These are two people that inspire me. They're people that I look to, and just people that I think are leaving a legacy, leaving an impact that is so significant. What are you currently reading, watching, or listening? Well, right now I have a couple books out. Right now I'm in a season of reading quite a bit. So I have a couple books that I'm in the process of reading. Right now I'm reading a book called The Unstoppable Force by Erwin McManus. I'm also reading a book called Expert Secrets by Russell Brunson. One of our past guests, Eric Bryant, I'm reading his book, Not Like Me. And then the other book I'm reading is Born for This. It's a really cool book. Not sure who wrote it, but it's a really cool book. I'm reading that right now. As for watching, I'm watching a whole bunch of new shows. Fall lineups back in full force. Watching Designated Survivor, cool show. Watching the new Star Trek. Not sure what I think about that one yet. And then watching some other great shows that I really enjoy with my wife. It's just a lot of fun. The final question I ask every guest is, what is one dream that you're still willing to fulfill in your own life? I have lots. I have a book, and I would recommend this for anyone who is out there who wants to experience and create amazing things. Create a bucket list book and include business goals, include personal goals. One of the dreams that I really want to fulfill is creating a movement of people who are dreamers, makers, innovators, and influencers who are changing the world, who believe that there is greatness, that they can impact the people around them, impact their communities, and ultimately change the world around them. I'd love to start this movement. I'd love to start a movement where people are tapping into their true destiny, their fullness of what they can reach, and doing something amazing. Well, that gets us to the end of this episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope it really inspires you as you go through your week and as you discover the life you want to create. Thanks for tuning in, and have a great week. Thanks again for tuning into today's episode. If you want to learn more about Jumblethink, swing on over to jumblethink.com, and you can check out the podcast episodes by going to the podcast page. You'll also find links to iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, and so many other places where you can listen to this podcast. If you haven't already and you like this kind of content, you like the interviews we have with our amazing guests, go ahead and subscribe to the podcast on your favorite place to listen to podcasts. I also want to encourage you, if you have a big idea and dream that you've put on that shelf and you're not sure where to start, you can reach out to us. We can help you in a couple ways. Coming up later this fall and early next year, we're going to be launching our virtual idea camp. If you want to learn more about that, swing on over to jumblethink.com, check out the contact page, drop us a note. I'd love to keep you posted on when that's coming up. Beyond that, if you want to meet one-on-one for some consulting, for some coaching, maybe some ways to help you get to that next level, I would love to work with you. I'd love to help you on that journey. I truly believe that people are created for purpose, that you were created for purpose. And in that purpose and in that destiny, you have something to give this world. I would love to be part of your journey. I would love to help you and help you reach new potentials, new levels, and ultimately create the world you want to live in. Thanks again for tuning in. I hope that this episode has really impacted your life. I want to encourage you, go out there, do something amazing, and change the world around you.
Doucement, mais complètement. En avant, en arrière, sur les côtés. Vous êtes une autre personne. Les mères de famille, les enfants peuvent également prendre un moment revitalisant dans quelques mois, lorsque vous aurez bien saisi la technique et que vous serez maître de votre corps. Vous pourrez vous décontracter même en travaillant.